Why do people go Agile? This is from the survey from version 1, right? We want to accelerate our time to market. We want to enhance our ability to manage changing priorities. Increase of productivity. All this is confirming that companies are suffering. Their customers are leaving. We want to be faster. And we want to deal with constant change. All this happens in the surveys, and it's for everyone to see. So yeah, let's go and do that. But then the fears. Lack of upfront planning. Loss of management control, lack of documentation, lack of predictability, lack of engineering discipline, and an inability to scale. And all those are what? Absolute misconceptions of Agile. Total misunderstandings. Total misunderstandings of Agile. But let's go and do it. Sounds cool. As long as we do it with the developers, I'm happy. Let those guys do Agile stuff. I'm happy. Don't come and screw around with my process, please. Let them do Agile. Because it scares people. And it means it's just a pure lack of knowledge. Pure lack of knowledge. And that's where the lip service comes from. Lip service. Let's do Agile because it looks good on my CV, but that's about it. Organizational CV padding. Right. We need to be Agile. How many companies do you actually browse their websites and they claim, we have Agile creative agency. And when you start dealing with them, they still write Agile specs. and stuff like that. And they still tell you it will cost you 1,244,013. How the hell do you know that if you're Agile? Now we can do it. So common issues from the past 8 years of doing this for big organizations. Some common issues we found. First issue is, if you will go Agile, who's driving the bus? Who's driving this Agile bus? Is it the IT manager, the dev manager, or is it actually the CEO and the executives? Because a lot of stuff's going to change. It's going to disrupt your organization. Everything is going to change. The way you pay people, the way you set up KPIs. I love KPIs. Yeah? Let's be Agile, but my KPIs say I may never fail. Okay, so I'll never fail. Can you be Agile if you don't have the ability to fail? To experiment? No. Fantastic. You have to change. Who's driving this bus? Who's driving this bus? This is an IT problem, right? The problem is lazy developers and testers. There's definitely not a problem with business. Don't understand what's the problem. It's them. Let them do some Scrum stuff. Fantastic. That is not Agile. That's doing Scrum and a development team only. Who's driving that bus? If the organization do not allow the principles and values of Agile to be lived within the organization, you will never go Agile. Ever. And you'll never reap the benefits from it. What you now do is actually double up your workload. Because we actually do some waterfall stuff, some Agile stuff, and some Agile waterfall stuff. And when I'm with the developers, I'm safe. I'm okay because now we speak Agile. But as soon as we have to speak to business, we have to speak some different language. So now we're inventing different languages again. It's just a huge waste of time. But okay, let's go Agile. So once you make the decision, then what do? Let's select a silver bullet. Let's not worry about the principles and values of innovation, what queue management is, how Little's law works, all that stuff. No, it's another process. Let's call it Scrum. So we found on the internet, it fits onto a piece of A4 paper, and 60% is white, so it can't be that. Right? Hey, you get 3 people in the room, 3 roles, a product owner, let's make it the top BA, make him a product owner. You know? And then we get a team there, but we can't do cross-functional dedicated teams. No, pretty nuts. So we just do the resource scheduling as well. No, there's flavors out there. People have this massive argument, must I be Scrum? Must I use Kanban? Sorry. Must I be Scrum? Must I use Kanban? Must I use XP? Must I use Lean IT? The new one, right? Apparently Lean was never there. So suddenly everybody bring up courses, Lean IT. Okay, it's nothing different than Scrum and all the stuff, the same principles apply. But you can select as many as you want. That's not the problem. All of these are good. They've proven in the market. Pick whatever fits you. We even now have organizational agile frameworks. Safe, scaled agile frameworks, right? Which is basically saying it's the way we've always done it, now it's just actually putting it out in the process. Okay. But it's good. It's good. The same reason Scrum works. Because if you go into an organization, you say to them, please just use common sense. They'll chop you out. But what if you go in there and say, let's go Scrum? Oh, that sounds like a good idea. Because what is Scrum other than a framework for people to actually apply common sense? It's nothing else. It's creating consistency across teams where people with the right knowledge have decentralized decision-making ability in order to apply common sense. Isn't it? Oh. So these things are valuable. They're valuable, but they're not all. We even have dads. We get a lot of them now, right? A lot of them now. So people now understand we have to change. We like this agile thing. We can't hide from it anymore. You know, if you're not part of the club, you're out. If you go on the corporate golf day where all the CIOs go, you're the guy who has the ball. You don't get the golf cart because you're out. Okay? So it's good. Organizations, for whatever reason they do it, may they understand the real reason for change and innovation, or may they just go because it's part of the flow. Peer pressure, it's fine. It's all good. But what do you select? These things are great. However, without understanding the principles and value of innovation, what does it mean? What is this? Yeah. People doing funny things because maybe the gods will drop cargo again. For those of you not familiar with cargo cults, okay, America, like always, they have to wage war with somebody. So they went to Japan, right? And they're actually very far from America, so they actually picked up these islands in the South Pacific, and they built army bases there. And they were doing everything soldiers did. They were marching up and down runways, they were actually having logistical operations in place to feed the soldiers, get fuel, all that stuff in place. And that was happening through planes. Flying over these islands, dropping massive crates with cargo on parachutes. And as there were already natives living there, they started sharing the books, they started sharing the clothes, they started sharing the cigars, the music, all this cool stuff. No, those people got used to it. And then America got home, and they left the natives there. And years later, sociologists went back and said, what the hell happened here? We see these people in funny grass dresses, uniforms with funny hats out of grass, effigies of planes, people marching up and down runways. Now, what are these guys doing? And then they found out when the Americans left. These people went to their priest and said, well, where's my good stuff? My booze, my cigars. And the priest deliberated. They came back and said, it's because we're not doing the right things. The gods are not happy with us. Because while the gods, the big birds, were dropping stuff from the sky, there were people marching up and down. So they started marching up and down. And if we please the gods through our rituals, then the gods will bring back the big bird dropping the good stuff. So how many organizations do that? We follow Scrum to a T. I write fantastic user stories. I do testing and development. I do all that stuff, but nothing happens. The organization is actually not faster, they're not making more money, and we don't produce products fast, quicker to the market. All you do is you see a bunch of people with little grass hats and uniforms out of grass marching up and down. Now, these rituals are there for a reason. But the point is not the ritual, the point is the value created by the ritual. Isn't it? Cadence through ceremonies. Artifacts to keep the value going. Is it better to have 3 artifacts always at value, or lots of documentation and questionable value? Yeah? Cadence, rhythm comes from these ceremonies. A lot of people doing stuff without really understanding why are we doing it. And then you hear these things where people go, we don't understand what's happening. It must be because we don't do Scrum right. You can do Scrum as right as you can. If your business are still totally disconnected from you, not going to have any value. It will be nice. It will create a nice working environment for the developers. It will create a nice working together environment for developers and testers. But the rapid feedback you get through to a strategic level in order to decide, are we doing the right thing or not? Or must we change course? Doesn't happen. So you can really build crappy products which nobody wants using Agile. Still happen. But we're just now bloody good at it. Cargo calls. Right. Don't do things without understanding why. Why? And then what happens a lot is people are mesmerized by the terminology. They are mesmerized by the beauty of Kanban. It's mesmerized by the beauty of safe. Dad, it's beautiful. Don't get sucked into terminology, tools, processes. Those things are there for a reason. Be good at it. But don't get sucked into it. We lose the big picture. Why are we doing this? To constantly adapt in order to fight off a constantly changing world. That requires an organizational mindset to be different. Don't get sucked into it. What is this? People hitting a glass ceiling, right? And we see this a lot in organizations. There's a lot of teams who are really fantastic at doing Scrum stuff, right? And they're really good at it. But they actually feel like they can't break through now. They got to a level they're actually moving faster than the rest of the organization. They need to release that feedback. They create it in order to make these things better, but there's no way to release it. It just goes into this black business hole. That experiment result you get from an iteration goes nowhere. They hit this glass ceiling, they're knocking and they say, as an organization, there's a lot of stuff we have to change for this to become valuable. But nobody is actually opening the door for it. Because, hey, it's an IT thing, it's not a business thing, is it? It's an IT thing. It's an IT thing, it's not a business thing. It's nothing to do with the organization.